From the outside, this building looks pretty unassuming. But an ambitious group of women is transforming the facility into a magical, nurturing place for nearly 200 children. It may just look like a mound of dirt now, but this is actually the start of a new development that will bring a major boost to Black home ownership in Avondale. Some residents tell me they hadn't even noticed the Ruth Ellen building was here until this construction site popped up. This block was once the heart of the East Price Hill community, but then it languished in blight and crime for years. Improving the city's community engagement could prevent gentrification and alienating locals from the very transformations happening in their own backyards. FC Cincinnati says this is about trying to be a good neighbor. Students will have to show financial need. They will also have to sustain solid academic performance. The policy goes in effect this Thursday, just a few weeks before classes start on the 23rd. Smith tells me he's been bombarded with customers this whole time, usually seeing between 1 and 200 customers a day. The city has invested over $20,000 to draft renderings for a plan that will make the area more walkable and mitigate traffic. When important services like grocery stores are taken out, other amenities that don't necessarily appeal to longtime residents have a chance to move in. Associates say hospitality is key. They want customers to feel welcome when walking into the store and that they can find groceries they can afford. Those restaurants, the Little Field and the Second Place, that's this restaurant right here behind me, are on Spring Grove Avenue. And as you can see by the entrance for the Second Place, they've got a sign up explicitly telling customers that in order to come inside, they must have been vaccinated. We got to speak to the owner of Willie's Sports Club Hidden Valley a little while back, and he said that he's preparing to assess the damage and that he's really looking to get those repairs done and to reopen as soon as possible. This is a food giveaway tradition that has been going strong for over 25 years. This personal caretaker who works on Republic Street has never been a fan of outdoor dining.
I didn't like it when it was temporary.
But when outdoor dining became permanent, taking up precious parking spaces,
then I was furious.
Another complaint, outdoor dining brings noisy patrons right outside residents' doors and windows late into the night.
I'm turning up the television. I'm closing the bedroom door and turning on white noise.
And there are other concerns. Residents told us it's been harder for paramedics and firefighters to get inside their buildings during emergencies. Plus, people with disabilities say it's harder to move around because of the crowded sidewalks and closed-off streets.
I used to ride the sidewalk, boom, boom, boom. See, they blocking that off now. I might not be able to go through that.
But residents' biggest gripe is that they were not adequately engaged in the city's projects to install the outdoor dining spaces. Some are criticizing city government for not informing them of the project in advance or actively seeking their input on how to best install the streeteries. Some community members we spoke with described the situation as being the latest example of the city displacing marginalized people from the neighborhood.
I love the diversity, don't get me wrong, I love the diversity. But it wasn't a well thought out plan, I don't believe. It don't involve most Afro-American people, low-income people. It don't involve us.
WCPO asked the mayor for a response to the noise complaints made by residents who were unaware of the streeteries plan, as well as criticisms of the area becoming increasingly inaccessible. The mayor replied saying that outdoor dining's changes to the area connect with its urban culture, though he recognizes that not everybody appreciates that vision.
All of these decisions went through the full process of public hearings and city council votes, and that's what the elected officials decided to do.
But members of the OTR Community Council say the city ignored their objections, as well as their request for city council to table its vote on the project until the community was briefed and consulted on the city's plans. WCPO followed up through multiple attempts with the mayor's office, requesting an interview to address residents' various other frustrations brought on by the streeteries detailed earlier. Chief of Staff Holly Stutz-Smith responded with an email statement saying in part, "If our restaurants don't survive, it will forever change the fabric of our city. It will take all of our continued support to help them recover. The implementation of these permanent outdoor dining areas has already started to have a positive impact on the urban core." In Over the Rhine, Monique John, WCPO 9 News. Fires, busted windows and storefronts, streets filled with wreckage, looters, and roaming police officers. These are some of the visuals that come to mind when residents old enough to remember think back on the Avondale riots of 1967 and 68.
Cincinnati had never experienced a riot like that in modern times.
The chaos of yesteryear looking like a precursor of the riots that erupted in cities like Minneapolis, Atlanta, and New York in 2020. Observers note the wide range of issues, including police brutality and racial discrimination, continues to disproportionately affect Black America. So the most marginalized people are still lashing out through destructive uprisings. But those who have had the experience of living through, and in some cases taking part in the damage, say that rioting over racial issues isn't the way.
At the time, I agreed with what they were doing, because they were not being heard.
Michael Burks grew up in Avondale and says he was arrested as an innocent bystander during the unrest in 1967.
But as I got older and look back at it, I disagree with it. Because when blacks riot, all that does is give the police open season to kill Black people.
Our activism needs to be more constructive, more intelligent, less emotional.
Patton, like a number of other community members WCPO spoke to, feels Black America needs to instead leverage their political agency as voters. Other residents also brought up the need for Black America to focus more on coming together, to build thriving businesses and invest in real estate. That way, Black people can have more ownership of their spaces and resist discrimination against people of color in ways that can't be policed.
I want something that they can't stop it. You can't stop the movement. You can't stop my voice. You can't stop my boycott, other than you come to the table and we figure this thing out.
Avondale Community Council President Sandra Jones Mitchell says that instead of rioting, fighting for marginalized Black residents to have a greater stake in their neighborhood is a more productive strategy for social change.
So we need to do some intentional acts and including folks in the process so that they can be a part of something bigger than them. We have community institutions that are willing to come to the table now and partner with us. We need to take advantage of that.
Monique John, Avondale, WCPO 9 News.